Welcome to the Meandering Thoughts Podcast. Who am I? It's the Voiceman, your host. And this is the portal for my thoughts and feelings on all manner of subjects. Today, I'm responding to a comment on Reddit, spurred from a conversation about birthdays, and how it's quote-unquote depressing to stop celebrating them in an isolated fashion. Understandably, celebrating birthdays every year is something that we tend to look forward to, and as kids, it's something that we really look forward to. And when people celebrate your birthday, I mean, it's a tradition that we build up because, I mean, if you look back on it, it kind of makes sense. If a child lived to the first year of life, it was kind of a big deal because child mortality rates were pretty damn high for the longest time. I mean, one of the reasons why children even exist beyond their first year is because of things like sanitation, washing your hands and having the ability to separate your excrement from your drinking water. That's why plumbing is such a great thing. Toilets as well. So celebrating an entire year of that human being alive, it sounds like a pretty damn good thing to do. Over time, we've sort of changed the meaning of what it is, and that's fine. That's normal. It makes sense to me. And I think in a way it makes sense to a lot of people. Maybe we don't all think about it that way. We tend to grow accustomed to celebrating birthdays, and we always look forward to it because it's our day. It's our special day. And there's nothing wrong with that thought. But something that I've come to experience, and I'm not the only one. In fact, this conversation on Reddit was about this very thing, that tend not to care so much about the birthday. And one of the commenters said it was depressing. And, I wanted to chime in, and I said, it's like, well, I kind of understand, because sure, it's just another day of the week, and that sounds pretty depressing. I even asked a friend of mine who was living away from family when he was living in California before I moved out here. And I asked him about Thanksgiving and Christmas, and he looked at it like the same kind of thing, where it was just another day of the week. And personally, I thought that sounded depressing. And I think it's just because that was how I celebrated those days. And looking back on it, I mean, in a way, it's actually better that I no longer celebrate Thanksgiving with my family, because my family really weren't the most happy people, my mother especially. And it was rarely ever a positive event. It wasn't necessarily inherently negative. There were some goods about it. Getting Christmas gifts is great, but it's all in concentration, I've noticed. Birthday gifts. You get a slew of gifts. It's all happening all at once. And that may be one of the reasons why it feels like such a great day, because all of these people are quote-unquote thinking about you. But are they? Are they really thinking about you, or are they making obligated actions? It's like, oh, well, so-and-so's birthday today. I need to get them a gift. And I hear it a lot from people. You see it in movies and television shows as well. So obviously it transcends just our own personal thoughts, and it goes into media that way. So looking at birthdays as just another day of the week, by putting it that way, it does sound depressing because it doesn't explain the other behavior that's happening. I don't have kids. I don't have a spouse. Those two things to some people may sound absolutely depressing, may sound like something absolutely horrible. Why on earth? How can you live like that, especially at 34? But, and per this comment, they're telling me, do whatever it floats your boat. Take at least one day out of every couple hundred to eat your favorite meal, hang out with your homies, go play a long ass round of golf, read folk halt, do whatever. Go to Vegas without the family, get tickets to the ball game, live a little. Well, the funny thing is that I do that. Now, I wasn't able to express that, or at least I didn't express it in my original comment, which is why I received this, I think. But that's the thing, though. I don't need one day out of every couple hundred. I can do it once a week if I feel like it. I have the freedom to do that. Now, it helps that I'm not currently working, that I'm stressing the hell out of a job, or, well, it's a job really, but even though it's college. And I'm trying new things. I mean, I'm in acting right now, and I've only been doing this for a couple of months. A little longer than that now, but I haven't been acting much. I've been studying acting, and in that process, there is a bit of, amateurish acting going on. And I would have never done it had I just picked up and left. Talk about Vegas. I've been to Vegas. I went to Vegas for 2 days. I met a girl on the way there. Hell, it was her fault that I was there in the first place. It's her fault that I went to fucking Grand Canyon. I mean, it's my fault that I went because I made the choice. But she was the deciding factor. Had I not met her, I would have skipped both of those things. I would have just come straight to LA. And whatever else would have happened, would have happened. But I had a great experience because of her. And, I went to New York City and I got just the tiniest of tastes and I wanted to go back. And just recently, I was considering buying tickets to go. I found a round trip. It's about $400, just about $420 before taxes and all the other fees. So it'd probably be like $500 or so, which sucks because that's one thing that America does. We like to hide all the taxes. For some reason, we can't figure it out until it's checkout time. I guess what I'm saying is that, and this is actually what I said prior to as a response. It's less about me, and it's more about us. Because when it's the birthday, when it's Christmas and all that stuff, it rarely is about that relationship with those people. It's about whatever enjoyment you're going to get at that moment, and probably all the gifts and shit too. Now, if you associate those days with a community gathering with family and friends, fantastic. But what about, an off-the-wall Tuesday where you hang out with your friends at the bar? I did that on a Wednesday once. I was like, I'm going to go to the bar. I ran into a couple of people. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to the bar. One of them's like, okay, I'll come with. So it was just me and him. And then another day, it was me and him and like 3 other people. And then other people joined us. So there was like 6 of us at some point. And, these are all acting people, yeah. And that's the thing. Maybe I've found my community because I've been able to find the people that I click with that seem to appreciate me as a person and not just what I can do for them. And that's, one of the issues that I've always had with jobs is when you're doing something that people want you to do to improve what they're doing, they don't really care about you. They just care about that somebody's doing it. But when you feel like people actually care about you, the community grows around you. You are the seed that is getting all this nourishment, and you're nourishing them. And it's great because I can talk to all these people about various things. We can have, some of them are parents. Most of them aren't. Some of them have girlfriends that they've had for 10 years. Some guys are single. So there's an eclectic diversity within this group, and yet we all seem to be just similar enough. And, maybe I'm going down the wrong road here. I'll take it back a little bit, but these are the people that are telling me that I should go to Disneyland. I haven't been to Disneyland since I was 5. 29 years. That's a lot of change. That's a ton. I don't remember going to Disneyland, to be honest. I really don't. There are vague images in my mind that say Disneyland, but they're brief and they're like ephemeral. They're like these ghosts of images. They're not even really images. They're so fuzzy. It's as if my eyesight is shit. But I remember watching David Copperfield when I was in Vegas. I remember seeing Le Rêve when I was in Vegas. I remember eating my food and sitting across from the table from a woman that I thought was beautiful. And somehow she wanted to hang out with me, and we had a wonderful conversation later in the evening. And I can remember going to the bar with my friends after class one day and just bullshitting about all sorts of stupid shit. And one of them just happened to say something that I'm like, you need to put that on a shirt. You need to put it on a shirt. And I'm not going to say it because I don't want somebody to hear this and then try to do it themselves. I need him to do it, or I'll do it myself if it comes down to it. But, you know, and there's all sorts of things. You know, I've gone to the ballet just on a whim a couple of times. Once since I've been out here in LA, a couple of times when I was in Dallas. And the first time I ever went sold me. It was one of the best performances of anything I've ever seen in my life. It was Cleopatra. I was up in pretty much the nosebleeds, and I'm off to the side, and I don't have the greatest view. I can see everything, but it's not in detail, you know, so I don't get to really sense just the raw power of it all. But despite all that, I still did get that experience because it was directed well. The performers did amazingly. It was absolutely beautiful, and I can still remember to this day the scene where Caesar's wife wakes up and she's had this nightmare that Caesar's going to die. It hasn't happened yet, but it's this foreshadowing dream that she has, and it's her on stage by herself getting out of bed, and there's a lot of blue. I think it was her dress. And it was just her and her bed, and she's dancing, and there's the music playing in the background. And there were people who were upset that the music now is canned and there's no live orchestra. But it didn't matter. I didn't need it. I didn't need a live orchestra. Maybe that's a great thing to have, but I didn't need it. I needed what was there because that's what I got. And it was beautiful. I've seen interpretive dance before and since, and that was the only time I felt moved and felt like this was my story. This was a story being told to me personally, not to everybody who was watching, but, and I think that's the thing about the arts in general, is that when you find yourself so engrossed that the story is being told to you, that it's a little nugget that somebody's sharing specifically for you and personalizes it. That's what makes it, that's what grabs you. That's what holds you in there. And I would not be where I am without the arts in my life. And again, I know I've detracted, but that is what I have done with my life by not having kids, by being okay that it's just a day of the week. It's fine, really.